people of God, right? We know this case where David asked Joab to count the fighting men among Israel, right? And and finally, what happens, right? Right? God's anger comes upon Israel, and so that there is a plague in Israel, and almost 70,000 people have died because of this plague. Okay, so this is one situation that that had happened in Israel during the reign of David. Problem now, right? When we analyze this situation, tell me, where is the problem? Actual problem here, and one thing that that is really not fitting in this place is God. God, the prophet God, the seer, he visits David in the morning, right, when the plague is about to happen, right? That is what I find something not falling in place. Okay, see, people of God, just discern this problem. Okay, where is the actual problem in this? Anybody want to take up this? Is it because of David asked Joab to count the fighting men? Is that the problem? Actual problem? Anybody want to take the call? Right? See, the important thing is, right? See, as people of God, we need to have a good discernment about the problem. What is placed before us. Okay, so we should be able to discern. What is the root cause of the problem. Okay, when we read this passage, right, in the verse 10. David was constrained stricken after he had counted the fighting men, and he said to Lord, I have sinned greatly in what I have done. Now, O Lord, I beg you, take away the guilt of your servant. I have done a very foolish thing. Right here, David is confessing his sin, that he is he asked Joab to count the fighting men. And we directly come into conclusion that it is because of this activity that triggered the plague on Israel. Right, many times this happens in our life. Because of this thing that I did, I'm in this situation now. You may be thinking that, right? Sometimes if you had people, I see people confessing, because of I have chosen this woman in my life, right? I'm in this situation. Otherwise, I would have been in a better place. Because of I have selected this man in my life, I'm in this situation. Otherwise, I would have been in a better place. Because of this activity that I did, because of because I went to cinema that day, I'm in this situation now. Otherwise, I would have been in a good place. Because of I skipping church on that day, I'm in problem now today. Right? Sometimes we arrive at some conclusions, okay, based on what we did on a particular day. Okay, right? Many times we do that. But actual problem is not that, right? The actual problem is not David counting the men, counting the fighting men. Okay? But though David is confessing his sin about counting the men, fighting men as the problem, the actual problem is not that. Okay? Right? He lacks discernment in this completely. Okay? It is not because of counting the fighting men, the plague was triggered. Actually, God was already angry with Israel. It's not, even if David is not counting the fighting men, he would have done some other blunder that would have triggered the plague. Not counting the fighting men alone is not a problem, right? It was the starting point. He just picked up that activity so that plague will fall on the Israel nation. Okay, right? See, if you go to the first verse, again the anger of the Lord burned against Israel, and he incited David against them. Right? The anger of the Lord was already upon Israel. Okay? The anger of the Lord was already upon Israel. That is the reason, right? He was incited to count the fighting men. Okay? Many times, right, we draw conclusion that because of this activity, because of I doing this thing, I'm in a bad situation. I'm facing this problem now. Because of choosing this company, I am in problem now. Because of this marriage, I am in problem now. Because of this friend, I am in problem now. We draw wrong conclusion. Okay, we don't have good judgment, or we don't have good discernment to understand the problem. Okay, but the actual problem was people were not in good terms with God. That is the actual problem. The people, God was not happy with Israel. That is the main. That is the real problem. Right? Even if David had not asked Joab to do the counting of men, David would have done something else that would have even caused even bigger problem for Israel, because God's anger was already on Israel. Right? And again, another thing, right? I said, God, the prophet God is God, right? He is coming and visiting David when the plague is about to fall on the nation. Is it the right time for a prophet to come and give instruction when the plague is about to fall? Is it not? Is it a poor time? Is it not a poor timing on a prophet? See, people of God, be discerning, right? Right. Sometimes you give more importance to prophecy, right? Sometimes you give importance to prophecy and you think prophecy is supreme. No, prophecy is the last thing, right? Even before the prophecy comes, right? Here the Joab, right, who is giving counsel to David not to do the counting of the fighting men, right? So now you tell, is it the prophecy which is supreme, or is it the counsel which is supreme? Many times, right, you run behind the prophets so that when you are about to fall, right, you get the prophecy and you think, the prophecy is the supreme thing. No, but you get instruction. You get good advice from even people who are lesser than you, and you don't listen to them, right? And you right, because of the stature of that person who is giving you the advice, you don't want to listen to that advice. Since Joab was not in the position to advise David is not listening to Joab. If David had listened to Joab, right, he had a very good time to protect Israel from plague. Correct? Joab, probably they took how many days to do the counting? 9 months, 20 days. They took 9 months and 20 days. It's a very good time if David had realized, right? If David had realized there is something that I did wrong, something was not good with my spirit, that I decided to do the counting of the people. Why I am incited to take a wrong decision? Why am I incited to take the wrong decision? What is happening in my spirit? If David had thought that, right, then he should have, now at that point, he should have went to God and asked God why I have, before even plague falling on the nation, if David had gone to God and asked God why I was incited to do the counting, why my spirit was not good, why my spirit behaved that way, that I'm inviting plague on my nation, right? So, sometimes again, see, right, here the problem, you may be wondering, right? David is a man after God's own heart. Okay, God is angry about Israel. Only Israel is sinning. David is good person. Okay, Israel is sinning, but no, right? Here, because of he is responsible. If he is the king, he is responsible over his household. He is responsible over his nation, his country, his people. Right? If you are the head of the house, you are responsible for your family. Okay? You may be thinking, right, I am good before my God. Right? I'm following whatever God instructs me to do. I am saved. Everything you different. But right? And when something falls upon your family, okay, and you again go to God and pray before God. Right, God, I have been good, but before even something falls on your household, do you have the wisdom to discern it? Right? Is your family are in good terms with God? Your family members, your circle are in good terms with God. Okay? If you are the king, if you are the leader over your household, okay, you are responsible. Okay, you cannot just escape. Okay, you may be good. If you are really good, you may be good before God. If you want to be good for your family, right, you need to bring order in your family. You need to bring, David should have brought the whole nation under obedience to God. Okay, the moment when Joab came and advised David, this is the wrong thing that you are doing, David should have observed something is wrong in his spirit. Something is inciting him to take wrong decision on behalf of the people, for which the people are going to suffer. Okay, see. Now see this, right? Here the Israel is not in good terms with God. David is the king over Israel. Okay? David failed to correct the Israel people. Okay? Now see. Now David himself triggering the plague. Okay? David, though David did not die on that plague. Okay, it is the household that suffered. The 70,000 people who suffered, right? If David had made correction on the people to bring Israel people to obedience, right? Israel would not have suffered. Okay, it is not because of the counting of men that caused, right, the plague. It was, the people were already not in good terms with God. That is anyway going to trigger any action, right, from David, which will eventually cause plague. Okay, so right, choose good counsel, team, friends. Choose good counsel more than prophecy. Prophecy is good, okay. Prophecy is good. Prophet is good, okay. But counsel comes first before even prophecy, right? The instruction from God comes first, okay. Holy Spirit speaks first to you, okay. Take counsel first before receiving the prophecy, right? Then you will protect your household, your family, your nation, okay. Yeah, sometimes we're not listening to people who are lesser than us, right? We think, what is this, right? Why should I listen to these people? At the same time, right, when I speak about counsel, when I speak about advice, right, we also need to be very careful about advisors, okay. That I chose this topic, counsel, right. I wanted you to be very even discerning about the counsels, very careful about, don't accept all the advices, right? Even if it is from good men of God, don't accept, okay. I will not recommend that, okay. If you are the head of the household, okay, don't receive all the counsels from all men of God. No, you are the head of the household. You know better about your family. You know what your family members need, okay. Don't right, though you will get counsel from outside, don't implement all the counsel. I will not recommend that, okay. Though listening to counsel is important, you need to have a discernment to understand the counsel also, right. There is one instance, right, you remember, right, when Jacob returns back, right, after running to Laban. He had his family members, and he has his his flocks, he has his sheep, goats, right, all the animals, right. When he was returning back, right, he was coming slowly, and when he meets Asa, right, Asa, and they reconcile each other, and they love, and so finally, Asa gives guidance to, right, Jacob. I will help you to bring your cattle, flocks to the home, right? But Jacob did not accept that advice. Jacob said, no, I will take care of my household, because you do not know how to lead my household. You do not know how to lead my flocks or my cattle, because some are weak, okay. Some are really weak. Some are pregnant, okay. If you drive it fast, you will kill on the way, okay. I know how to. I'm the head of this household. I know my cattle. I will lead it through, okay. Right? Why I'm giving this advice? As people of God, you receive advice from everybody. You get advice from everyone, and don't think you need to implement everything, right? If you are the head of the household, right, pray over the advice. Listen, right? Why I am receiving this advice? Is it applicable for my family? Does it fit my family? My some of your family members are weak, okay, and right, you take your verse, right, somebody coming and preaching you, right, how long you will take milk, take some meat, all that Bible verse, for every situation there is a Bible verse, okay. Everybody can speak Bible verse, okay. Every situation has a Bible verse, but you apply the appropriate Bible verse, okay, if you are the head of the house, okay. And if you think, right, since Bible asks you to give meat, right, when the person is about to take the milk, if you give him meat, you will kill him, okay. Put the right advice, okay. Accept the right counsel, right. So why I'm bringing this right topic, right, when we are, right, discussing about David's when David received counsel from Joab, right, you should have discerned that counsel, right? Whether why I am doing this activity, why I am doing the counting of men now. Okay, discernment of the advice is important. Okay, fine. So you are the head of the house, and God has given your responsibilities to lead your family into godliness, in closeness with God, right? If your household is separated from God, if they are distanced from God because of any situation, it's your